can break it. Yep, we're on Rift. So we're gonna see if they can shore it up a little bit. Vi can absolutely have early impact, so I'm not definitely counting out Ego just yet, but it does feel like a pretty slam dunk draft from Raze. He's made Cerberus uncomfortable, maybe outside the solo lanes, and of course Ron OP on Nautilus, but you're not really too scared by any of these picks. You've got counter picks you're comfortable with in both positions, and yeah, actually in all three of those positions. So now you're just hoping that the big superstars of Ego and Artemis, now that they're off comfort, won't have the impact that Cerberus really needs to carry it over the line.
Get a chance to see as we step onto the Rift here for the first time. It's our last day. I was going to say it's our last series, but we have one series after this where Team Secret's going to be playing up against Scam. But that happens a little bit later, so we'll get a chance to see that when it pops up. But for now,
we haven't seen Gam all week.
That's very true. Yeah, we've had like the same 4 or 5 teams play like all of the games this week. We're getting 3 of them, playing in our last couple of days here. You gotta love the scheduling differences that we've seen for a little bit of time here. I do want to note also that this is not like, again, when you consider Ego and you think about what Ego likes to do a lot of the time, you don't think of Ego as being somebody that plays a much more defensive style of gameplay, but this should probably be Radiant Virtue Vi instead of going for like Sunderer and Black Cleaver and all those items and such, which again is a little bit of a difference, something that we don't necessarily expect. So maybe they've been scrimming, maybe they've been trying some new things, maybe Cerberus, again, trying to show off a little bit of the diversity that we're not super accustomed to. And again, adding that to your arsenal this late into the split is risque, but it is something that is worthwhile. I've been waiting for Pun to pop off on this pick for a while. Again, when we thought about who's going to be good at the Cassante, we all thought that Pun was going to be the one, and he's had some performances on it, so maybe some possibility against Nagia to show off a bit more in this split.
Yeah, we're sort of... it's hard to tell where the sort of Ego is going to go with the runes choice, because it's sort of an even split on Aftershock, Conqueror, on all the builds, Divine Sunderer, and Radiant Virtue. But yeah, the top side, Cassante, these are honestly, in my eyes, the 2 best Cassante players in the league, despite the fact that Nagia seems to be cursed and having really, really good performances, but not actually being able to win on it. It's a really low win rate, but his score lines are always really good. He always picks up a nice couple solo kills. So he should at least know very much how to play against the Cassante, and we can already see he's putting this Gwen pick to good use, and it's not meant to go quite this well for the Gwen this early on.
No, Nagia clearly playing it pretty well, though Ego is now up to top side. Lee Sin's here too. Is attempted play from Killer Queen could be a response onto Ego. With Aftershock, it's really tough to get a winning trade up against this Vi though. So Killer Queen just grabbing the top side scuttle.
Yeah, with Killer Queen in the area spotting him out, it makes it really hard to go for, especially with Pun just not actually being able to really commit to a fight at all. And it should just mean double scuttle for the side of the Lee Sin. He gets to cross over, Ego sort of forced to back away. And this was going to be a small lead for the side of Wales. It's not much, but everything is good when you're sort of playing heavy underdog against Cerberus in the eyes of a lot of people.
Yeah, Wales has been playing so much better this split. With the addition of B, we had high expectations for the squad. I don't know that they've necessarily hit the mark that we thought that they were going to hit with the addition of B, but they certainly have improved quite a bit from the previous split. They definitely... They don't look like the remnants of 2 of our worst teams in the league, because you've got pieces like Glory and Killer Queen and Nagia that have been on bottom tier teams previous splits that kind of got pieced together. And this squad does not look like a team that was pieced together from bottom tier players or bottom tier teams. It looks like a fully competitive squad of players that if you hadn't seen them before, you'd be like, wow, these guys are pretty good together and as individual pieces. So Team Wales... making a playoff push, especially pushing Saigon Buffalo out, would really be quite an indicator of the competitiveness that we have here inside of the VCS to knock out a team that went to Worlds last year with basically the exact same squad coming back together. And it starts here by beating, again, Cerberus, which is a team that's on a bit of a backslider, or we always attribute to having this weird backslide at the end of the split. So Wales taking advantage of it could actually be a really, really big difference maker for confidence, especially in the eyes of fans and stuff walking into the end of the split. Yato.
That's the first play.
Nice.
Yeah,
flash for flash, nothing crazy.
Yeah, Flash is traded. That means Killer Queen, as he moves up, gets a bit more experience, makes his way towards level 6, can revisit that lane and find a good opportunity onto Yato. And yeah, as you say, these were bottom players, or like benched players even, from these lower tier teams. We had CBL, originally we had CBL and Arietti benched on Secret and Buffalo, respectively. We had Nagia benched on Secret, Killer Queen and Glory were sort of bright spots on 2 failing rosters. And you sort of brought them together and were like, okay, the mechanics aren't bad, but they keep making absolutely absurd decisions in the mid game, and that ruins it all. B has shored those up for the most part. They haven't fully shored up the individual inconsistencies, because I mean, there's only so much one man can do, but it's a good start. I mean, and if this roster sticks together through summer, and maybe we see some upgrades in the positions that are faltering a bit more than others, I mean, it feels like we should be getting a contender, if not a winner, maybe a Worlds participant, if not a VCS winner.
It's a bold call, but Wales has the vertical mobility to make it happen. And I think we've seen that level of play out of a lot of their players too. Because like I remember back when Killer Queen had kind of originally joined the split, because Soren was sitting in front of him on the roster, and like we were like, okay, who should be playing, Soren or Killer Queen?
Speaking of Team Secret's bench, hold that.
Oh, Artemis? Okay. You know what, Artemis? I appreciate the attempt. If you had fooled them, it would have been great. And the kill did go over to B, so that's first blood over to the support more than anybody else. That is beneficial, but it is first blood over as a gank comes down to the bottom side. Vit has been doing a lot. Okay, Artemis is just getting wrecked here. Probably grabbing him. Yeah. Here. Artemis just got messed up. The kick came in. Killer Queen missed it. That's actually really funny. It would have been really funny if Artemis got out right there, but not going to be the case. Instead, just a good gank from Killer Queen.
Yeah, the result is that kill. It's going to be first Drake, and it's all good, going well so far. These early games for Wales have been one of their strong points. They've taken it to GARM quite a few times, ended up winning at least two games. They've never closed out a series, but they've always had a game against GARM, which is fantastic when they're 10-0, right? So it's really nice to see. We need to see if they can carry it home. First blood to B is rough, but if he gets that accelerated towards that locket, it becomes a little bit harder to kill Vit and Glory. So maybe they survive a little bit longer in a fight than intended and can turn that around. So it's always not the when it's before first item, it's not that bad for a support to have gold. It's not the end of the world. After first item, then it's a little bit, hey buddy, stop taking kills.
You're being a support apologist right now, and I'm sure a lot of people don't appreciate it. But
I mean, I've played mostly Phil. Actually, hold that.
Oh wow, okay, great play. Oh, although Ego, okay, Ego's perfectly fine. I think the Aftershock was helpful. The first couple tower shots got limited, so not nearly the XP. I don't even know that even through the Aftershock that would have been that crazy, because Killer Queen didn't have flash, didn't have the ability to chase any further than what had just been used. So it's not the biggest deal in the world. Instead, just another kill over to Yato here. As Rift Herald, I thought was going to be a bit of a shift, but instead Nagia is just going to clean that one up on their lonesome, or at least it looked like they were going to clean it up on their lonesome, but they're leaving it alone for now. As Cerberus does get some kind of response back, the Grog is punished for simply existing in the mid lane, as Yato, again, the scaling pick here for the side of Cerberus, getting a little bit of opportunity to get a bit ahead in the laning phase.
And it was beautiful timing by Cerberus, because literally just now did Laurie's flash come up. So if they waited a couple seconds longer, it wouldn't have been possible. This Rift Herald should go down, resets have to come through from Yato, etc. And now Team Wales, they're going to have another objective, having a good advantage. They've only given up one kill, and it's only really onto the Gragas, who, as long as he has the ultimate the flash body slam ult can always be useful, can always be impactful, doesn't necessarily need that gold as desperately as some other carries. But so it's all fine. Everything's great, going great for them. For Cerberus, they're gathering scraps here and there. They picked up a tower plate for Artemis. They picked up the kill, and so they're definitely not down and out. It's only 1,000 gold. It's very much a close game.
Ooh, actually, a bit of engage to the top. Pun. Yeah, it's ult for ult. Nothing crazy right there. Nagia popped Ghost and Ultimate to be able to put some damage down. And Pun, he's just not going to fall victim to anything crazy from Nagia. Riftmaker is not going to be able to cut through the bulk of that tank quite yet. It's because it's not completed yet, of course, here from Gwen. When that gets through, again, you can see the damage that Gwen was able to deal very quickly to the tank on the top lane, but not going to matter all that much. And elsewhere, notably, the other thing is that Rift Herald got traded for a single tower plate on bot side that did go into Artemis, which Rift Herald now only guarantees 1.5 third plates going down, so it's not as valuable as it was previously. If you get 2 plates guaranteed onto your ADC in exchange, I think you take that trade all day. So the one, it's not perfect, but it is at least something that, like, you at the moment, you're not going to be responding to that anytime soon. So that you could consider that if you are on the side of Cerberus, that you did get a better, at least gold assignment for the moment.
Yeah, it sort of just ends up depending how they set up the play. If they can get multiple plates off that Rift Herald, if it's just the 1.5, then yeah, you're fine. The gold assignment is great for Artemis. Otherwise, you know, big plays can make things come together. You're gonna have to see where it wants to go though. Does it go to your top lane and try and get Nagia rolling? That seems like a decent idea given Gwen. Okay. Pun's
in a rough situation. W used to try to deny the Dragon's Rage kick, but all it does is slow him down and let Killer Queen get into a better position, who punishes yet again on the map. So I'd love to see Killer Queen's impact. This is something we usually attribute to Ego, again, having that early game presence on things like the Lee Sin and even the Viego and such. And so this is the first time we've really had to see the Vibe this split anytime soon. And Killer Queen's running the map, more or less. This is a really important pick for the side of Team Wales to grab up, allowing their young jungler to kind of do some damage. And already they've been able to do it. First blood on the bottom side, another kill to the top side, as well as a couple plates into your Gwen. Feeling great. This has already been a rough matchup for Pun so far in this game, so it's just going to exacerbate it pretty badly.
Well.
Yes, it is. See?
Okay,
ultimate. He's popped. E's going to come down. Oh, nice flash from Glory. Ego has to flash as well and make sure to get out of dodge, because that was really, really suspect right there. Got very, very close to being a trade for a couple of kills. It's just flash for flash, mid for jungle.
Yeah, and of course, because the swap has come in from the side of Cerberus, they did get a little bit of bamboozle and delayed this slightly, but Aphelios on a tower, pretty much uncontested, is going to just tear through that, gonna rip up so many plates. Sarah's gonna get a few back on the top side, but that first tower bonus is just in their eyes.
Ready after Nagia. Artemis flashes, they get the kill. This is still really, really weird decision though coming through from Cerberus, because they just gave away basically 3 plates over to the bot lane. They give away the dragon in rotation as well. Pun is gonna be stuck in this tower, does have the support of Ego. Yeah, and Yato, actually both. Okay, and then
the dive is no longer possible.
No, it's not going to happen at all. It's not going to happen. I want to see them step back up into the pocket to make sure that they know that that's not going to happen, though. I don't want to see Yato and Ego leave, because all they've done is delayed Vic's take of this tower by a single wave, and that is not worthwhile, because that's first tower goal over to your Aphelios. You might trade it. I think Artemis has the damage to potentially grab this one up, and it does suck that they had to trade, first tower for stop tower, but they are getting a trade of gold between the two marksmen in this game, which I suppose that they'll take. But again, it feels like Cerberus has just been on a back foot for most of this one. Yeah, you gotta love that slide mechanic coming in alongside Rano P, just punishing Nagia here.
And also the lightning bounce. Oh, goodbye, Artemis.
Woof. Okay.
Donated to Nagia. Yeah, the lightning bounce also getting the Grump into assist, and now Killer Queen is going to murder that traitorous Grump, that traitorous frog. And also, as they collapse onto Artemis, who just wanted that tower and I guess overextended a little bit, stayed a little bit too long. Now the lane swaps can come on through. Yato has managed to get a lot of pressure down on this tower, so if a Rift Herald does fall the way of Cerberus, that should fall extremely quickly, as Ron is going to get out okay, but Killer Queen absolutely in charge of the map, able to just pretty much walk solo into the enemy jungle and half health for support.
This has been a really rough game so far for Cerberus. They are down only 1,500 gold, which isn't an absurd value at the beginning of this game, but being down 2 dragons as well, still having to deal with the fact that there's an Aphelios on the other side, there's a Gwen on the other side that are going to be really powerful as the game goes on. Feels like a lot that they haven't really... They've kind of kicked the can down the road, so to speak, where they're like, okay, we're not going to worry about it because we've got Vigar, we've got Zeri, and they're just not thinking about scaling. So I'm going to make you do their thinking for them.
Okay.
Does Cerberus outscale in this game? Like, legitimately, do they outscale in this game?
I mean, I don't think so. Like you were saying, like you have, okay, yes, Vigar scales, but you match that with the Gwen, you match the Zeri with the Aphelios. Maybe you can say their front to back ease of execution is a little bit easier, and that's always nice in a late game situation. But you have to at least put up some level of fight, especially because Team Wales pulled 3 sevens and got the Hextech Soul on the map. Okay, that's a pick. That's
Ronop, dead. Yeah, there's not much to be said about that one. Okay, never mind. I spoke too soon. That was a caster curse more than anything else, and then Nagia has to go over the wall, takes a bit of damage. Did end up dying, but it took way longer than I think that Team Wales thought it was going to have to take. As Pun's on the other side of the map, they say, okay, go ahead, take the Rift Herald. Rift Herald probably leads to the death of top tower, maybe mid tower, but there's too much push right now. And so I think Nagia is just going to run up top lane and say, I'm going to clear this wave away. Killer Queen, if you want to come drop this top lane, we can absolutely do that. And that's okay in exchange for Pun kind of pushing on the bottom side of the map and getting that 1 tower traded as a result of this play.
And I mean, if the guns line up for Aphelios, you could try and do the yeah, Nagia's just going to take this down. I was going to say you could try and bait people towards the top side with the Rift Herald shove and try and make sure that someone has to come, that there's a rotation up to defend it, and give opportunity to Vit to break open the mid lane himself, but didn't really have the guns to do the fast tower it takes, so that's fine. Nagia was going to get that for free. You can just move up and drop that Rift Herald in a minute at the Dragon, force some priority, and make sure you can get onto Soul Point very quickly.
You know what's really crazy is after all the chips have landed, you do have a 2K advantage here for the side of Team Wales, which again, it's not the most insane thing at this point, but it is at least a bit of something. Maybe we'll see a gold distribution, but I have to assume the majority of that's probably in Nagia right now. It is a second item Runans for Artemis, which is not typically the play. You're usually seeing Navori. If you're going to see a Zeal item, it's usually Phantom Dancer. So the fact that Runans comes out is like, first off, it makes Artemis super dependent on ultimate in fights because that you need that on-hit damage, you need that like extra little bits of things. But it's also a massive team fighting thing. This team knows what they're about. Cerberus is like, we're not going to bother with playing a massive macro. Hey, look at that, the gold, as if spoken into existence by us. Nagia is pretty much the only one with a super massive advantage inside of this game. You can see about 1,300 over top of Pun is the big one. Bit of an advantage by Killer Queen too, which I think makes a lot of sense too. Killer Queen's been a lot more active at the beginning of the game, getting some plates and things like that to get a bit of a gold lead over top of Ego.
Yeah, they're coming back to that Runans. You do see 4 melees, and Aphelios does like to get close up in his team fights, so it's a fine choice. It's going to be pretty hard. I'm interested in Vit just foregoing the Bloodthirst a second and just trying to maximize damage. I'm a huge fan of it. It might not actually be the most ideal. I don't know, but it's the Giga Chat move, so we love to see it. I guess we're just waiting for Killer Queen and Glory to find their angle, because Ego has the sort of move into the pit right now, but it's just posturing. Where's the Rift Herald?
We got that NA Ram here popping out as fast as possible. The Event Horizon's just fishing for what they can. There's the Rift Herald getting dropped here by the side of Team Wales. Okay, big Q coming in. Going to be able to grab somebody on the front line, and that's Gwen who gets removed before anything else. Now, Pun on the opposite side does also get worked, but Yato actually locks everyone in a box there for just a 1/10 of a second, and that is sufficient to put some damage down into Killer Queen, potentially get some space back here for the side of Cerberus. There's not many ultimates. Artemis didn't even pop ultimate right there, which I think is big. Neither did Ego, which means that both of them have big team fighting kind of aspects that are yet to be used yet inside of this fight. Rano P did have to back, which was really bad. Ego also having to pick up some of the honey fruit as Killer Queen drags the dragon out. Yato and Artemis still perfectly fine. They're getting hunted little by little here as Killer Queen was locked in the box, but they didn't know. So there's not too much vision to be able to work with there. Ultimately, the two top laners being traded ended up not really leading to much, as both of them will be back on the map immediately. Teleport from Nagia to bot lane to pick up that massive wave.
Yeah. You ended up with the thing is, because the top laners were traded, it was a sort of a big gold advantage in the play for Cerberus in terms of the 4v4 if it came out afterwards. And as you said, there were big ultimates still available. They are starting it up now.
No.
Can they make a way in?
Green-white is busted because you can just hit it from so far away. Ego tried to get in, is not quite able to. Pun has to heap W. Now potential fight kind of spreading afterwards as Artemis is in a perfect position to pop some damage off. And there we go. Pun starts off on a Killer Queen. B is getting chased down. Nagia as well on the backside of this one. Nice hook from Rano. P's going to get a third as Glory's going to go down as well. Pun picks up 2 in the midst of everything. Artemis gets 1 as well, as it's a big fight win here for Cerberus, and they're going to beeline it to Baron.
Okay, ultimate, the the Moonlight Vigil is ultimate. I'm not quite sure what guns it would have. Neither. I don't think he has the Infernum available, so probably can't just go and try and threaten a big ultimate in the pit. But and they realize that they're going to take their 2 members, just try and push down mid. Maybe they'd try and sneak something in if they find the opportunity, but no, not going to happen. No. It's going to be Baron, but it's still Dragon. It's still mid lane tower. It's not the worst trade for Team Wales, but it's definitely the respite Cerberus needed, as they can't quite get this one, but it's just Killer Queen trying to step too far forward to get an angle onto Pun, but Pun blocks it with the W. Then he gets CC chained by Ego, and Artemis just kind of gets to run free, and it's a really nice hook on the end by Rono P to sort of get a little bit extra for Cerberus.
Yeah, and a couple of things about that is, number one, it completely levels the gold playing field. Yes, it's 3 dragons, which is tough to kind of come back from Cerberus, and Hextech Soul is no laughing matter. It is a really, really solid dragon to take, so they are going to have to fight back at that, but now there's so much standing gold on the map that could be taken via this Baron buff. That it could be a massive play that Cerberus is able to swap this gold lead over to their favor pretty significantly, maybe by a couple thousand gold if they're able to pull down a lot of the structures that are remaining on the map. Of course, Team Wales is going to be fighting like a dog to make sure that the mid tower doesn't fall, just to hold up as much as they can. As now, Nagia versus Pun. Pun did pick up a bunch of gold in that previous fight. Ultimate gets popped, I believe. Yep, there it is. Nagia just using it as a slow more than anything else. As here comes Ego as well. Ultimate gets popped, but it's going to be denied by Nagia's W. But I think Nagia is still very dead to rights, as that's Artemis who's going to be gifted. Nope, Ego's going to snag that one. I thought they were going to gift it over to Artemis. Mid push, though, is being held back by Rano P and Yato, which is just not sufficient. Ultimate's going to knock Rano P back over into the tower, and that's going to be that. Ultimate gets dropped onto Killer Queen. That's also the event horizon that's going to be stacked. And now Pun on this massive flank angle to find something. He's going to get stunned. He's just going to die as they're not able to find anything. Ego going to jump back in, trying to buy some space for Artemis, trying to find something. B with the ultimate to try to disengage. Now it's a big fight. Oh, massive event horizon coming through from Yato is going to be able to lock one down. Artemis still can't quite step up and put out damage on the remaining members. Ego's going to try to buy him some more space as Artemis still wants to cook, but it's just not going to happen. Cerberus, they were so close to busting that fight wide open a couple of times, but just barely don't have enough for it, as they are basically dead even at gold with where they started at the beginning of the Baron buff.
Yeah, it ends up playing it. That 4v5 ends up playing out really nicely for the side of Team Wales. They get this kick to start it off. Essentially, they commit very hard to knock down this tower. The cask isn't quite good enough to get the pick, knock Yato back, but they go here to defend Killer Queen, and Pun tries to flank, but he can't get the angle because he's instantly kicked back, instantly deleted, and this is a bit of a step forward from Vit to try and step it up. It baits Ego in. He gets a huge ultimate off that detonates Ron OP, but the collapse is too big. Vit is too far forward, and then Team Wales has to scatter. So tower for tower, 2 for 2, 2 for 3 overall, including the kill on Nagia. But that's a good play from Team Wales when you get out of position that much and you get collapsed on. They played it very well.
It felt like maybe if Artemis had been there a second earlier, and then he's there to punish the event horizon, is there to punish that initial engagement from Pun, Artemis probably walks away with a ton of kills, and that probably is just a massive team wipe coming out from Cerberus. So again, the fact that Wales was able to not only get a tower back, get a couple of kills back, but also walk out of that situation basically unfazed with Glorian with the rest of the team. Again, it speaks to the talent Team Wales has. They understand the limits of what they're able to do. That got a little touch and go there for a hot minute, but they are A-OK on the back end of this one, as it is still Cerberus trying to scale 25 seconds until the Dragon. They're trying to fight back, trying to put themselves in a great place. Late backs from Glory and B, I do think are quite punishing here, because it is going to buy space on this mid lane to be able to work with for Cerberus as they want to make the approach happen. Although Yato and Artemis are kind of messing around in the topside jungle here, so it's not as forceful as it could have been from Cerberus if they were already set up on topside.
We see Yato just trying to match Nagia's split push. I think Wales is in a nice, good position there with Nagia, because this is just the first Drake. You don't have to fight for it too hard. They're even teleporting Yato down. So maybe you poke your head and maybe you try and find an angle for the Lee Sin to get a steal, and you just let Nagia do the thing on the top side. Mm-hmm. You're more than happy giving up a single dragon to get some more gold, get some more pressure on the map. And as they back to try and deal with Nagia, maybe the push through mid can get another inhibitor pressured. It doesn't look like they have the wave, so just the gold for Dragon, and that's definitely not that bad. An inner tower gold is pretty worthwhile.
A couple of camps being taken as well, but there's a bottom wave that got picked up here by Pun that should be pretty valuable to what they're going to attempt to try, because they're trying to get Pun much tankier. The person cutting through him more than anybody is Nagia, and Nagia has been a beast inside of fights, so they can get a magic resist stacking beginning here on Pun. They will start to be a lot better, start to be a lot harder to try to rip through, despite Nagia's very strong builds. But ultimately, we're landing in 3-item, 4-item territory for carries here already. Like Rabadon's is almost done now for Vigars. You've got 3 items already completed on Zeri, maybe Guardian Angel up and coming because the stopwatch is already done for Artemis. We're getting into late game territory here, Mobius. We're 27 minutes into the game, and yes, Soul Point is being threatened constantly by the side of Team Wales, but 1,500 gold lead is not the most ridiculous one we've ever seen at this point here inside the VCS, or basically anywhere in League of Legends. So it's anyone's game still, very much so. At the beginning of this, when his ego jumps in, was trying to find something. I think he was trying to find Vit, but thankfully Vit is able to Gale Force away, he's able to Gale Force away.
Yeah, so does blow a cooldown. It's not a major one, but didn't expend anything. Nagia continuing to pressure Pun. It's a bit harder to just bully him under tower, and Pun still has pretty excellent wave clear for a tank, so it's hard to get the best pressure out of Nagia, but as long as they can control the side lanes well enough to avoid objectives being started up, they're happy to play out this grind on the side lane. And Cerberus has managed to find a lot of extra gold on the map compared to Wales, just based off how they've just been grouped up. They've found most of their kills through teamfights. You see so many extra assists onto Zeri, but you look across at Team Wales, there's just lots of kill participation missing for everyone else, so not as many assists coming through, or at the very least not shared amongst the carries as well. And just a little bit of gold missing from Vit compared to Artemis, a little bit missing on Glory because he hasn't been able to pick up the kill contributions, a bit more gold to Pun on assists. Just little bits. Tiny little bits that are keeping Cerberus' lanes closer than they somewhat feel like they should be in some cases.
Artemis must be very close to an item because they've given him a ward, they gave him some of that camp, they might give him the cannon here. Yeah, they're giving him a cannon in the face of the champion who literally gets permanent AP in order to grab big minions like that, so Artemis has to be close on an item. Probably a backing right now as well. This is the opportunity for Wales, but unfortunately, again, they kind of bullied them out of that pit. And so I guess Artemis wasn't that close to an item, was just trying to get that crit cloak, that last little bit of gold advantage over top of Vit compared to anything else, to make sure you have not only more damage because of the crit damage that you get in bonus, which is like 15% with a crit cloak, 10% with a crit cloak, you also get, again, more of that chance to utilize this quick blades, which I think was the whole intention behind that back, as Artemis is preparing for the late game. Vit also is back in here. This is the opportunity now for Cerberus if they were able to find a big fight. No? Pun? Okay, all right, Pun popping off. Ultimate utilized to try to punish Nagia. Lost some of the defensive stats. Now Pun just gets run through. I was thinking, like, Pun, what are we doing here? Why are you fighting somebody who's that much
Artemis?
stronger than you right here, right now? Artemis, not able to find the kill either, not able to find the laser.
Okay, I mean, they didn't have the vision on Artemis because that would have given so much space to get a free pick, and then with Artemis off the board, it's
big
just
TP.
kind of free. But they're gonna try and make use of no pun to get in there and remove this Baron. They have a cask to get rid of Ego. If it comes to that, they just need to keep vision on him. They've got it now. There's the ult.
That's big. That's a big knockaway. Well played. Well executed, Baron. Now on the front line. Artemis wants more. Ronapi tried to set him up. Big laser is actually going to slow down the team, put up quite a bit of damage, and his killer is going to knock Artemis away, but it's not going to matter because the flash actually gets Artemis out. Now, can he do damage? Can he do something? They have to find a way to engage onto this team, but Vit is doing so much from far away. Look at him throw in these Calibrum shots, and that's going to be sufficient to drive away the side of Cerberus. Great Baron coming through from Wales, well executed across the board as Cerberus just has no response. And now right back onto the map, 10 seconds away from the Dragon. It's Cerberus who's going to be standing forward. They no longer have Artemis's ultimate to work with, and Wales are just redeploying as fast as they can through these Hextech gates.
All right, they're going to get vision through the Sonic Wave, and now they're just going all in.
Through. Ego needs to grab something. He is going to be able to grab up that Dragon, so he does save the soul point. They're going to sacrifice the life of Ego for it, but at minimum, they do not lose soul right here.
Yeah, that's a huge smite coming out from Ego. Knight's Vow now completed, trying to keep Artemis happy, keep him alive. That was such a close play, and Artemis is playing on the edge of this game, trying to get as much gold as he can, trying to greed for those wolves, knowing he can dash over the wall. But now Baron in hand, it's a good siege cup. They still have Calibrum left, so Vit can stay really safe. This should be an inhibitor at least. And Ego dead, they might get greedy. They might try and push for more. I wouldn't necessarily advise it, and neither does Wales.
Yeah, Wales does not fancy themselves a team that wants to coin flip here inside the base. Instead, they're just going to stick around with their 4,000 gold lead. And they can play this game out a little bit longer. They can still say, hey, let's go to next Dragon. Let's hang out and let's just push for everything else. They have time. Guardian Angel's also done, which means that Vit is officially ahead in terms of items compared to Artemis, which is wild to think about by basically a whole item. As Vit has slowly become an absolute beast inside of this game, collecting more than enough farm. Nagia is still this massive team fighter, going to have Rabadons, is going to be able to tear. If you thought he was tearing through Pun previously, now he's really going to be tearing through Pun on this Gwen pick. As slowly Cerberus just has not been able to scale, I think, the way that they really wanted to. They haven't been able to set up this team fight, and because of that, they are just lacking in this game.
Hey, Rebel. Yada's wearing your happy pants.
Yeah, I realize. Yeah, he's going for it. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. See, of all the people that know how to build the Vygar, you know that Yada knows how to build the Vygar, right? He doesn't need he doesn't need no Zonias. He needs that damage. He needs the permanent move speed to go drop some damage on some fools.
Yeah, he's also so far up ahead of Glory right now. He's got that full Rabadons to just one needlessly large rod. Yeah, he's needlessly ahead, you might say. Yeah, absolutely.
Just a little bit. Good pun. Good, solid pun inside of a game like this. It's very important. More anti-siege than anything else coming out here is just like they're trying to clear this wave. There's plenty of damage on Yada to be able to help clear this. You can see even the W's now against Baron buff and powered minions are dropping half the health bar. It's just, again, there's so much advantage here for Team Wales that it's difficult to try to find a full engagement against them. 5,000 gold down. But again, this 5,000 gold isn't insane. That really just translates right now to a Guardian Angel for Vit. That's one thing. The Rabadon's completed on the top side for Nagia. Like, they've got these massive team fighters that have these itemizations. But we're slowly, like, we're hitting the tail end of that power spike where, like, Artemis is going to be on probably Guardian Angel right here on this back, if not like another big item like Bloodthirster or something, depending on what he wants to build on this back right here. Yeah, it was Bloodthirster right there. So yes, that's stats-wise is actually much better than the Guardian Angel. So it is a more powerful kind of Zeri build at the moment, but doesn't have a second life with the Guardian Angel to work with. So a little hard for Cerberus. Now, they've used the Hextech gates. They're going to run directly into Nagia and B. Will the Needlework be used? Needlework was used. Artemis now has an angle, potentially. As you can see, members from both teams kind of wrapping in. Pun wants to jump in. Is they going to be able to get away with the Ghost? And Vit leading everybody from behind, is just going to follow up everybody, but nobody full engages from Cerberus as they're trying to capture this top side. They're trying to break down this top tower. Not going to be able to do so quite yet.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to siege without Baron. The Viger does too much. The Event Horizon can just block minions a bit too far away. They almost get a catch onto Pun, but the Glacial Fissure goes off into Narnia. So they can't find a bit of CC to lock him down. But it's still it's pressure that Team Wales are keeping up. They're trying to keep camps out of the hands of Cerberus. They're trying to make sure vision is down so they can always make the play they want. Baron will be up soon. It's at the same time as the Hextech Dragon once again, so they might be annoyed and forced to make that same sort of trade as they did last time. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's just more Team Wales having that vision set up to stop Cerberus trying to go for the Baron, and then try and make sure they can leave Nagia on the Dragon to take it down.
Yeah,
solo, if possible.
Okay. This is all right. They're just trying to get mid control to the best of their abilities. They have to shove it up for a lot of purposes. Nagia's here on the side as well, trying to start some kind of fight. Could find an angle for the needlework. Is stunned up. Is one. They find an immediate pull, and that's going to be Glory who gets stuck out of a bad situation. Now Pun getting pulled off to the side as well as Ronald P goes down, and that's going to be Nagia at the front line who does so much damage. Got to get out in some capacity. That's going to be one. Artemis went down in the midst of all of this. Yato is still alive as one big damage dealer, but already dumped basically everything into this fight. And now Team Wales has complete jurisdiction over everything. As that's Team Wales probably just winning the game right here, right now. They've got the soul point. They've got this insane Aphelios.
They have to be careful of Ego. Glory, you have to make sure Ego can't make the way to the pit. He's
not going to get there.
There's enough damage. There is enough damage. Never want to risk that. But Killer Queen managed to outplay this. This is a thing from Glory I wanted to criticize at the start of the game, but never found an opportunity. No mercs means he's able to be CC'd for such a long time, but a beautiful kick from Killer Queen forces all the defensives out and puts him into a really rough spot where he's able to get picked off finally by that explosive cast from Glory. Almost the only downside is you got Artemis at the cost of Ego being knocked to safety, but hey, that's worth it. And now you've got 5, get Baron.
It was really unreal. Just how well that they were able to execute on Artemis. Even though Nagia didn't really hit him at the beginning, that Baron is just dead. Oh, what an ultimate, too. Ego getting knocked aside and not being able to kind of enter the pit whatsoever is going to be denied once again, as that is a soul point and a Baron here for Team Wales. Everything stacking against the side of Cerberus. They have to work so hard to get out of this situation. It was even crazier because, again, Killer Queen did absolutely no damage, and even the reposition didn't end up doing all that much. The problem was Artemis got knocked so far forward that Nagia had an angle on him. And when that happens, again, Gwen in general is just one of the best flanking team fighters in the game. I've said that since her inception. And you saw why right there. Because, again, if you tag multiple people with needlework, she just rips people to shreds, which is exactly what happened. It took one stacked Q from Nagia just to rip through most of the health bar coming out from Artemis in the midst of that fight. So it wasn't even the kick. It wasn't anything like that really did it. It was everything else that kind of compounded together. As Cerberus didn't even burn everything, like the stopwatch is still available for Artemis. Artemis could have potentially stopwatched the kick coming out from Killer Queen in the midst of all of that, but thought that was going to be a sufficient fight. So instead, saving their tools for this upcoming fight that could come through. There's Glory over top the wall, going to try to find something. That is almost immediately dead member here coming out from the side of Cerberus, as that's 2 down in one fell swoop. They're dead. Like, Yato has to go in his zone. He's just trying to find something. Big play from Pun, but again, they just don't have the damage anymore to be able to take this fight. As Wales, from minute 1, have just been in complete control of this game. And with that, they're going to walk out of game number 1 with a W, putting Cerberus in a really tough position now. Yeah, they took Cerberus, they put them on an uncomfortable draft where they don't have that